pain. We've all felt it, right? A stubbed toe, a killer headache, a burn from the stove. It feels so simple, so direct. But what if I told you that what you're feeling is one of the most complex and, honestly, surprising processes your body has? I've been digging into this, and it's just incredible. So let's get into it and unpack what's really going on when you feel pain. So let's start with a question we can all answer. You bump your shin on a coffee table, hard. Without even thinking about it, what's the very first thing you do? You grab it. You rub it. We all do. But have you ever stopped to wonder why that helps? Turns out that one simple instinct is a perfect doorway into understanding the elegant and kind of bizarre system our bodies use to control pain. To get why that rubbing works, we've got to go back to 1965. Two researchers, Ronald Melzack and Patrick Wall, came up with an idea that just completely changed the game. It's called the gate control theory. And it's this brilliant concept that starts, believe it or not, in your spinal cord, not your brain. Now, before these guys came along, scientists were basically stuck in a 100-year-long argument. You had one camp saying pain has its own dedicated highway straight to the brain, the specificity theory. Then another camp said, nope, it's not a special highway, it's about the pattern of traffic on all the regular roads. That was the pattern theory. What made the gate control theory so genius is that it didn't pick a side. It actually found a clever way to bring both ideas together. So, what is it? Well, at its heart, it's a race. Imagine two different types of nerve fibers, starting from the point of injury. They are both sprinting towards a kind of neurological gate that sits in your spinal cord, and whoever wins that race gets to decide if and how much pain you're going to feel. All right, so let's meet the racers. In lane one, we've got the fast nerves. These are the expressways of your nervous system. They're thick, they're insulated, and they carry signals like touch and pressure at lightning speed. Then in lane two, you've got the slow nerves. Think of these more like a winding country road. They're thin, they're not insulated, and they're the ones carrying the actual pain signals, just, a lot more slowly. Okay, so scenario one, you get hurt and you just let it be. The injury activates those slow pain fibers. When their signal finally gets to the spinal cord, it does something sneaky. It basically tells the gatekeeper neuron to go on a coffee break. And with that gatekeeper gone, the gate swings wide open, letting the pain message shoot right up to your brain. Ouch! But now, let's get back to rubbing that sore spot. The moment you do that, you activate the fast touch fibers, the expressways. And because they're so much faster, their signal gets to the spinal cord first. And this signal doesn't tell the gatekeeper to take a break. It tells it to wake up and get to work. That neuron jumps into action and slams the gate shut, right as the slower pain signal is arriving. The pain message gets blocked, or at least its volume gets turned way down before it ever reaches the brain. And that is why we all instinctively rub our injuries. It actually works. So the gate theory is a perfect explanation for what's happening in the spine. But that's not the whole story. What happens if the pain signal does make it through the gate? Well, now we're following that signal all the way up to headquarters, the brain itself. Ronald Melzack, one of the creators of this whole theory, put it perfectly. He said, pain is not just a sensation. Pain is in the brain. And what he meant was that pain isn't some raw signal. It's an experience that your brain literally builds. The injury might send the memo, but your brain is the CEO that decides what that memo means and how it's going to feel. So where does this all start? Well, the first big stop in the brain is a little structure called the thalamus. You can think of it like the central mailroom of your brain. It gets the pain signal from the spinal cord, looks at the address, and sorts it, sending it out to all the different departments in the brain that need to weigh in on this. And those departments create the three different flavors of your pain. First, there's the sensory part. That's the what, where, how bad department. Is it a sharp pain? A dull ache? Is it on your foot? Then there's the emotional department. That's the pure awfulness of it. The part that makes you say, I hate this, make it stop. And finally, there's the cognitive part. Your memories, your beliefs, your focus. All of these things can dial the pain up or down. And this is absolutely key. The brain isn't just a passive receiver. It talks back. It has its own incredible pain control system that sends messages back down the spinal cord to that same gate. Your brain can literally tell the gatekeeper to lock things down or to let more signals through. This is a total game changer because it means your thoughts and emotions can physically change how much pain you feel. So for a long, long time, the story of pain was all about neurons, the racers, the gatekeepers, the brain cells.
But over the last couple of decades, a brand new character has stepped onto the stage, and it adds a whole new layer to this story. It's time to meet the secret agents of your nervous system, your glial cells.
And listen to this. We are not talking about some rare cell type. You have maybe 10 times more glial cells than you have neurons. For the longest time, science just thought of them as the support staff, the housekeepers who cleaned up and made sure the important neuron cells were okay. We now know they are so much more than that. And frankly, their role can get a little sinister. So when they're in their normal resting state, yeah, they're great housekeepers. They keep everything running smoothly. But if you have an injury or are under a lot of stress, they can flip a switch and go into an activated state. And when they do, they get, well, one scientist called them short-tempered. They start pumping out these inflammatory molecules that basically act like amplifiers for pain. And this might be the key to chronic pain. They can keep the fire alarm screaming long after the fire is out. And it gets even more detailed. It seems there's a division of labor. You have one type of glial cell, called microglia, that often kicks off the whole pain amplification process. They're the first responders. But then another type, the astrocytes, can come in and take over, maintaining that pain state for the long haul, helping to turn a simple injury into a chronic condition. Okay, so we've got a race to a gate, a brain that's building the experience, and these glial cells that can be friend or foe. It sounds complicated, I know. But here's the most exciting part. Because it's a system with all these different parts, it means it's also a system we can influence. It's malleable. In other words, we can actually find ways to hack our own pain system.
And a lot of our existing treatments do just that. You know those TENS machines a physical therapist might use? That's just an electrical current designed to flood those fast touch nerves to win the race and close the gate. Things like mindfulness or cognitive behavioral therapy, that's training the brain's command center to send its own signals down to manage the gate. And the future? A huge area of research now is finding drugs that can target those short-tempered glial cells and just tell them to chill out.
So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's that pain is not a simple message. It's a dynamic, complex, and deeply personal experience that's being built and rebuilt every moment by your spine, your brain, and even your glial cells. And just knowing that, truly understanding that, is the most powerful first step you can take toward getting a handle on it. Which leaves us with one last, really powerful question to think about. If pain is ultimately an experience that the brain constructs, what does that really mean for us? How can we use that knowledge to literally retrain our brains to manage it better, to build a different, less painful reality? The possibilities are really just starting to open up.